In a small, sun-dusted town where the wind carried whispers through narrow streets and time seemed to move at its own pace, there lived a man named Elias. He was neither rich nor particularly known, a quiet figure with a gentle stoop, silver hair that had surrendered to the years, and eyes that always seemed to search for something beyond the horizon. Elias worked at the town's train station as a janitor. Each morning before dawn, he would unlock the gates, sweep the platforms, and hum soft tunes that few ever heard. The passengers often passed by him without a glance, commuters rushing to work, students clutching their books, mothers carrying sleepy children. He was simply there, like the clock on the wall or the benches by the platform, present, useful, but unseen. What most didn't know was that Elias had once been a musician. Decades ago, his melodies filled small cafes and streets during the festival season. But after his wife, Mara, fell ill, music took a quiet step back. He had sold his old violin to pay for her medicines, and when she passed, the silence that followed felt heavier than grief. Since then, his kindness had found new forms, small, wordless acts that required no recognition. Every evening, when the last train whistled away and the platform emptied, Elias would collect the lost things people left behind, a scarf forgotten on a bench, a child's drawing, a half-eaten sandwich still wrapped with care. He sorted through them carefully, keeping what could be returned and setting aside what couldn't. Sometimes he fixed small broken toys, polished dropped coins, or rewrapped wilted flowers left on the ticket counter. It was his way of tending to what the world had forgotten. One chilly evening, as the sky turned lavender, Elias noticed a boy sitting alone on the edge of the platform. He looked no older than 12, his clothes thin and dusty, his face pale with hunger. Elias approached quietly, unsure if his presence would frighten him. "You'll miss your train if you sit too long," Elias said softly. The boy looked up, startled. "I don't have one to catch." Elias nodded, reading more in the boy's tone than the words themselves. "You must be hungry." The boy hesitated, then nodded. Elias took out his small lunch tin, bread, a bit of soup, and an apple, and handed it over. The boy devoured the food without a word, pausing only to look at Elias once, eyes full of something fragile and grateful. When he finished, Elias smiled faintly. "What's your name, son?" "Jonah," he said. "My mom used to work here, before she got sick. I was trying to find her old friend. I thought she might still be around." Elias recognized the name of the woman Jonah mentioned, Ruth. She had once sold tickets at the counter years ago before illness had taken her away, too. Elias felt the ache of memory rise in his chest. He placed a gentle hand on the boy's shoulder. "You can stay for a while if you like." And so Jonah stayed. Over the next few weeks, he began helping Elias around the station, sweeping the floors, washing windows, collecting litter. They spoke little, but a quiet companionship grew between them. Elias showed him how to mend small things, an umbrella handle, a clock spring, the wooden arm of a chair. The boy learned quickly, his hands steady despite his young age. Sometimes, Elias caught Jonah humming to himself, little tunes that had no beginning or end. It reminded him of his own days with music, and one evening, after much hesitation, he brought out something wrapped in an old cloth, a small, scarred harmonica. "I found this years ago," Elias said. "Never played it much, but I think it's time someone should." Jonah's face lit up as he took it. The sound that emerged was uneven at first, clumsy, but soon it filled the empty station with soft, stumbling joy. People who waited for the evening train began to notice. The sound, though small, carried through the air like warmth spreading in cold air. It wasn't long before a few regulars started leaving small tokens behind, a thermos of soup, an extra sandwich, a pair of gloves for Jonah. None of them said much, but their gestures spoke louder than words. One night, as rain hammered against the tin roof, a young woman hurried into the station, soaked and shivering. The trains were delayed due to the storm, and she sank onto a bench, frustrated and cold. Jonah, without a thought, ran to the back room and fetched a blanket Elias kept for emergencies. He wrapped it around her shoulders. The woman looked up, startled. "Oh, I couldn't." But Jonah only smiled. "It's okay. You look like you need it." Elias, watching from afar, felt something stir within him. The boy was learning, not from instruction, but by echoing kindness he had received. Silent acts, loud echoes. As months passed, the station began to change in subtle ways. Someone planted flowers near the entrance. Another person painted over the faded wall. A group of students started leaving notes of encouragement for travelers. The small station that once stood unnoticed began to feel like a place that breathed. Elias never took credit for any of it, nor did Jonah. They simply kept doing what they always had, quiet work, simple kindnesses. Yet the ripples kept spreading. One morning, Elias woke up later than usual, his chest heavy and breath shallow. Jonah found him sitting by the window of his small home behind the station, looking out at the dawn. "Jonah," Elias whispered, "the world, it's not kind by accident. Someone has to start the sound." Jonah's eyes filled with tears. "You did." Elias smiled faintly. "No, son. The sound keeps going only when others carry it." He passed away a few days later, peacefully, in his sleep. The news traveled through the town quietly, but the silence it left was loud. The next morning, the station was filled with flowers, candles, and handwritten notes. People came, passengers, students, vendors, even travelers who had met Elias only once. Each had a story, a time he had helped them, smiled at them, or done something small that had mattered more than he knew. Jonah sat by the old bench with the harmonica in his hands. He played softly, letting the notes rise and fall like the breath of the station itself. For the first time, he wasn't playing for himself, he was playing for him. Weeks later, Jonah took over Elias's duties at the station, though the town council had initially objected. But the people insisted, the boy had earned his place. He swept the floors, polished the benches, and kept the same lunch tin Elias had once used. And every evening, when the last train left, he played the harmonica until the sound faded into the night. Years passed. Jonah grew into a young man, and the small town station grew busier. Yet it never lost the warmth that Elias had unknowingly built. Travelers often spoke of it, how the air there felt different, softer somehow. There was always someone to help, a kind word offered, a smile shared. One winter morning, a woman stepped off a train with a baby in her arms. She looked around, lost and uncertain. Jonah, now older, wearing a station badge, approached her gently. "Need some help?" he asked. She nodded. "I'm new here. My husband was supposed to meet me, but the train was delayed." "Come inside," Jonah said. "It's warmer there." As they walked, the woman noticed a framed photograph on the wall near the ticket booth, a picture of an elderly man holding a broom, smiling shyly at the camera. Below it, a brass plate read, "In memory of Elias Hart." He cleaned the station, but his kindness cleaned hearts. The woman paused, reading it. He must have been special. Jonah smiled softly. He was. Still is. Later that day, when the station quieted again, Jonah took out the harmonica and played a tune. A little girl nearby clapped her hands. Her laughter rang out through the empty space, and Jonah chuckled. Somewhere deep within him, he could almost feel Elias's presence, a warmth that never left. That evening, as the sun bled gold across the tracks, Jonah noticed a teenage boy sitting alone on the same bench where he had once sat years ago. The boy looked lost, uncertain. Jonah walked over and sat beside him, wordless at first. "Waiting for someone?" Jonah asked. The boy shook his head. "No. I just didn't know where else to go." Jonah studied him for a moment, then smiled. "You're welcome to stay. There's always room for one more here. And as he spoke, something in the air shifted, the same invisible current that had once begun with a simple act of kindness. In the years that followed, the legend of Elias and the boy who played the harmonica became part of the town's quiet lore. Travelers who passed through carried pieces of it with them, stories of warmth found in small places, of hearts mended by unseen hands. And though the world beyond grew faster, noisier, and often unkind, there remained that one station where silent acts still made loud echoes. When people asked Jonah why he stayed all those years, he would simply smile and say, "Because someone once showed me that even the softest sound can travel far if it's made with love." And in the hum of the trains, the murmur of footsteps, and the gentle notes of a harmonica carried by the wind, it was clear, Elias's kindness had never truly ended. It had merely changed hands. The echoes went on.